During a time known as the Psychic Awakening, traitor legions assaulted the Talledus System, which is a significant system to the Imperium. Not only did it have billions of Imperial citizens, but highly influential worlds that were crucial for many warp routes. The capital world, known as Benediction, had for a very long time been a stronghold for the ecclesiarchy and a globally spanning mausoleum embodying the wonders humanity is capable of crafting, as well as being a resting place for all of the greatest heroes of the faith. So the Talledus System and the capital world of Benediction was to be held at all costs. Defeat was not an option. The word-bearers Lord Kor Phaeron had assembled a mighty host of traitors, intending to conquer the system and turn their inhabitants to the worship of the Chaos Gods. Ironically, the legions that would follow this zealot were all mainly agnostic. The Night Lords care nothing for the ruinous powers, and mostly see them and their influence as corruption and weakness. The Iron Warriors, too, are an agnostic legion who came along. There are also other renegade Space Marine chapters, Chaos Knights, Traitor Imperial Guard, and millions of cultists that joined the campaign, as well as smaller warbands of Heretic Astartes. But for the most part, when it came down to sheer numbers and power, only the word-bearers were the faction that actually came for chaos. The others just came to the Talledus System for plunder, and plunder was always a cause any Night Lord could get behind. Though word-bearers spearheaded the first assault upon Imperial forces, their untainted dark allies were already far ahead of them. Yaris Kine of the Night Lords led his warband to commit first blood in the Talledus War, which earned the sons of Conrad Kurz much honor. The Night Lords were never good soldiers, quote-unquote. They were never built for grinding typical warfare of the legions, Heretic Astartes and Adeptus Astartes. No, the Lords of the Night are killers, reavers, and terrorists, first and foremost. In saying that, long before the ordinary line soldier of the word-bearers fired a single shot, the Night Lords had already assembled an elite kill team to descend upon an essential astropathic relay station. After the massacre of the Imperials within the complex, it erupted in a cyclonic charge. But the Night Lords had even more espionage and terrorism at play. At the edge of the planetary system, the Night Lord's battleship, Nightmare of Celix, was blocking communication among the Imperials within the war zone. The Void ship held thousands of captured Imperial astropaths that were under such intense torture, their psychic scream corrupted Vox communication, and stressed incoming Imperial astropaths bearing reinforcements to the planetary system so severely they were constantly being lured to materialize into real space, right into waiting Night Lords' ambushes. The Imperium's reinforcements suffered heavily from the traps, essentially appearing blindly into open killing fields. Over the comms of the Imperial Guard, the soldiers just constantly heard screaming and tortured cries of suffering, to the point that they were shaking and losing morale long before the traitors ever got close to them. When attempting to make short warp jumps to defend the capital world Benediction, Battlefleets Ios and Ceremes also suffered heavily from the Night Lord's psychic scream. A cacophony of insane wailing was shortly followed by a plethora of astropath heads exploding in an eruption of gore. The fleets suffered horrible casualties and stalled in defense of the capital, which left it more vulnerable to the assault of the traitor legions. The word-bearers were the main force in attacking the capital, supported by knights, cultists, and smaller warbands, taking a horrific toll upon the defenders. The once mighty Imperial Guard forces of the system were solidly overwhelmed and on the verge of breaking coherency. The Night Lords left the rabble to do the rabble's work and continued to ambush and plunder void ships, robbing the Imperium not only of much-needed reinforcements, but much-needed supplies as well, and the entire time keeping their psychic vox scream up, ruining loyalist communications and astropathic choirs. But the faithful on the capital world were gathering and performing their blabbering to the false emperor, which was going to prove an annoyance to the Night Lords very shortly. Their ignorant slave devotion to the corpse god was like a beacon in the dark that attracted other ignorant slaves. On the eve of a chaos victory, Captain Mersan of the Salamanders entered the system's edge, leading a spearhead of Adeptus Astartes, and the battle for the Talledus System got even more intense. Supposedly, golden skull-faced spirits swept forth from ancient tombs and reliquaries, rising high into the heavens to encircle the grand honorificum, Kor Phaeron's prize. But no Night Lord saw this. Word-bearers say that it was a miracle that formed an unbreakable shield. But again, no son of Conrad Kurz could take the words of a word-bearer seriously. More likely lies to make an excuse for their mistakes and failures. To Yaras Kine and the Night Lords, the weak Kor Phaeron of the Slave Legion claimed it was not his fault, but the Lords of the Night scoffed at their deranged lunacy, as they did to all who worship the false gods of the warp. However, the lapdog was supposedly the commander of the traitor legions, and they'd humor him. But the Night Lords remained in the void, assaulting the shipping, resources, and reinforcements to the Imperial cause, and not wasting any resources by sending him aid. As expected, the Salamander's captain and the Sisters of Battle outsmarted Kor Phaeron and destroyed half of his summoned demonic host. The Sons of Kurz expected this because only the weak relied on demons or the power of the warp. They wasted no more time and resources helping him at the capital whatsoever. And Warpsmith Etrogar of the Iron Warriors also had no interest in Kor Phaeron's grand plan. They were off besieging the Bastion world of Gradask, a critical source of resources to keep the Imperial war effort going. However, then the Black Templars entered the system to reinforce the enemy, to which the Iron Warriors would welcome to come meet them in battle. The Night Lords had massacred countless very needed reinforcements to the Imperial cause, though it was not the Black Templars that they'd have to contend with in Void Battle. Unknown to the Night Lords, Jodaga Khan and his White Scars had been hunting them. The Scars found a mass graveyard of ships and debris. The horror of the Chaos Space Marines was all around them, and they'd had rich picking amongst their victims. Thousands of frozen corpses drifted in space, their faces still frozen in terror. Then, out of nowhere, Night Lord's crafts engaged the White Scars too quickly for them to bring their weapons about. The small but fast Traitor Legion void ships had the advantage and boarded the Astartes vessel with Raptor kill teams and swept through the White Scars vessel in a tide of gore. But then the Night Lords fled as quickly as they'd come and escaped into the asteroid field. They sabotaged critical aspects of the White Scars vessel and then just disappeared, leaving the loyalist Astartes infuriated. Trap after trap awaited the White Scars, and they were repeatedly lured into kill zones. And throughout this entire conflict between the Scars and Night Lords, whenever real resistance was encountered, the Sons of Kurz just retreated into the asteroid field that they'd made their playground of terror. However, the Astartes remained stoic and determined in the Shadow War. Raptors repeatedly ambushed them on asteroids, as well as ghost ships that they'd been lured into by the Night Lords. Claws of Terminators and Warp Talons attacked out of nowhere with no warning, reaping the Loyalists mercilessly. But the battle between the Night Lords and the White Scars would continue for some time. The hit-and-run guerrilla warfare suited them both equally well, and neither could get an advantage over the other for long. But most frustratingly, despite the massive tactical advantage that the Night Lords gave to Kor Phaeron, he completely wasted it.
Honor is nothing more than the last refuge of fools. Look upon the butchered corpses of your comrades, and tell me again what your precious honor is.